students, this is Coach Holiday, and today's lesson we're going to talk about the coordinate plane. This is actually, instead of being called the coordinate plane, it's usually called the Cartesian coordinate plane, but we say coordinate plane for short. It's called Cartesian coordinate plane because it was invented by René Descartes, and Descartes in Latin is Cartesius, and therefore Cartesian came from Cartesius. It was invented back in the 17th century. So there's a little history for you. Now let's get started on the lesson, okay? If you look, we have the coordinate plane, the Cartesian coordinate plane, on your notes and on the screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the parts. This should be a review from 8th grade for you. So let's get going. The first thing is we're going to label the x-axis and the y-axis. Now if you'll remember, the x-axis and the y-axis divide the coordinate plane up into 4 parts. The y-axis is the axis that's vertical. So there's our y-axis. It goes up and down. And our x-axis goes side to side, or horizontally. As I mentioned, the axes divide the coordinate plane into 4 quadrants. Okay, quadrant means 4, so it divides into 4, and we typically write these using Roman numerals. Okay, capital Roman numerals. The top right one is going to be Roman numeral 1, and then we go counterclockwise. So quadrant 2 is the top left, quadrant 3 is the bottom left, and quadrant 4, or IV, is the bottom right. So those are the quadrants. And the last thing we're going to look at is the origin. The origin is where the axes intersect. Okay, they intersect right there. So that's where the origin is. So that's the origin, right where the axes intersect each other. Okay, so that's a little background. Now, the coordinate plane is used to represent things in space. Okay, and we have a horizontal. From 0, we have to move horizontally on the x-axis and vertically on the y-axis. So for us to identify a point on the graph, say that point right there, we have to know how far it is from 0 on the x-axis and how far from 0 it is on the y-axis. Okay, so when we do that, we have an x and a y coordinates, and we call that an ordered pair. So an ordered pair. Then we say ordered pair because it's an order from x to y, and it's a pair, it's 2. It's a pair of numbers that describes a unique point on the coordinate plane. Okay, so this one would be going to the right from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces to the right, so the x would be 7. And the y would be up 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 for the y. So that point is, this point right here is 7, 4. Okay? Alright, let's do some of this practice. So in example 1 here, we want to write the ordered pair and the quadrant for each of these points. So we'll look from 0. So if I start at the origin and go to point A, I'm going to start there, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces to the right. Going to the right is positive when I go to the right. When I go to the left, it's negative. When I go up, it's positive. And when I go down, it's negative. So I went to the right 6 spaces, so the x is 6. Alright, we're going to put it in parentheses. Now I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 spaces up from the origin, so that's positive 5, so 6, 5, and that's in this top right corner, the top right quadrant, so that's quadrant 1. Alright, let's do another one. Let's look at B. B, if I start at the origin, I go left and right, none, because I'm just going to go up. So if I don't move left or right, the x coordinate is 0. The y coordinate, I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's 4. And that's not in a quadrant, that's on the axis, so I would just say it's on the y-axis instead of say it's in a quadrant. Alright? Why don't you give C, D, E, and F a shot real quick on your own, and then we'll come back and talk about them. Alright? So C is 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left, so I went negative, so it's -3. And then I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's +5 since it's up from the origin. And that's in this quad. C is in this top left quadrant, so that's quadrant 2. All right, D, I moved 2 spaces to the right from the origin, so it's +2. And I don't move up at all, or don't move down, so it's 0. And that's not in a quadrant, that's on the x-axis. F, E, I move to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's +5. And then I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's -5 because I went down, right? And that's in quadrant 4. E is in quadrant 4. And the last one is F. From the origin I go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So that's -4, and down 1, 2, 3, -3. So it's -4, -3. Hopefully you did well on that. And that's in quadrant 3. Okay? Alright, one last example to go through. Okay, here we're going to plot the points and label them, okay? So point M is 2 is the x, -1 is the y. So I'm going to start the origin, I'm going to go 2 to the right, and then down 1, and there's point M. N, start the origin, -3 is the x, so 3 to the left, and then -3 is the y, 3 down, and that's N. R, 0 is the x, so I don't move left or right, and then +3.5, I go up 1, 2, 3, and then 0.5 is about a halfway between 3 and 4. That's R. Okay, so I want you to take a moment, see if you can plot these other 5 points real quick, and then come back and check. Okay, so check those points, T, V, W, and X, and see how you did on those. Go ahead and answer the questions in the WISC and submit that, and bring any questions you have on this with you to class. Have a nice evening. We'll see you in class.